Dave here, and today we're going to check out the work of Mattias Snygg. He does have a background in fine art, according to him, and he has worked for quite a few AAA games. And one of the reasons why I like his work is, well, he does have like a variation or different types of painting styles, but I do find his more naturalistic ones. By naturalistic, I mean the ones that feel like, they are digital paintings, but they feel kind of like natural, traditional paintings. He does often like to use the mixer brush, and I've seen him use it. He does have like a few YouTube videos, not a lot, but they are, I believe he has like 5 or 4 demo videos in his YouTube channel, but he doesn't post like regularly. So by the way, I'll be linking all of his links in the description below. And I don't think this guy has an art station, so that's kind of sad, but he has a very memorable style. Scrolling through his blog or his website right now in Weebly, oh shit, you can see like the styles do vary, but it always has a kind of fine art feel, and he's very, very realistic. He's not very stylized in his style, which I do like. Even when he does the creatures and stuff, it just feels interesting, right? So this is kind of a weird. It does, even the topics or the subject matter itself is kind of not normal. It's sort of intellectual. I don't really know what his artwork means, but it's the type of work I would see in like fine art types of studios or classes. Like there's maybe some kind of meaning behind it, and I usually can't grasp, those kinds of paintings or these sorts of paintings, but it looks interesting. I would hang this in a wall somewhere. And again, it does have a bit of that realistic painting approach, and he likes to use this kind of it almost looks like an actual traditional brush, but obviously it's used digitally, and he likes to pull the paint around sometimes to kind of help make it more artsy, right? And I've seen him use it like after painting in like the values and the hues, he'll start it doesn't really have a purpose so much. Well, it does have a purpose. It does make it more artsy to me, but it's not like fuck. You know what? I have no idea. But this guy is awesome, right? Now this one is more graphic. Not a lot of mixer brush use, not very artistic. You could definitely tell it's a digital painting. But because of the hue variation here in the foreground, it feels like a watercolor painting. Whenever you kind of mix colors in a wet on wet kind of painting, the colors do blend and they kind of mix in with each other, and it does have the kind of feeling, I guess, especially when it comes to this foreground right here. And a lot of his work actually is a bit moody. Lots of mood paintings. He's not a designer, I would say, based on his work. He's more of the big picture guy, the art director kind of person. And they often do they're more about the story, I guess. This is another kind of great painting of a chicken. And he does like a lot of studies, I would say, of animals. He likes animals more than, not just animals, but women, obviously. But he has like way more work that involves animal studies. And again, he likes to use that same brush. It's almost like a natural painting brush, used digitally, of course. And you can see him mix a lot of the paint here. Maybe some flat brushes. He doesn't have a lot of brush variety, but I do like the efficiency of it. It almost feels like an alla prima kind of painting, where it's less about being finished, and it often feels kind of sketchy, but it feels raw, right? And I do like that kind of thing. Oh shit, I do like that feeling whenever I see art pieces like this or paintings like this. It just has more impact. Like it kind of has that mix of that sketchy feeling with that impact of a full painting, So trying to find that right balance is kind of hard. But for example, this one, it's not fully finished, but shit, it does feel like a traditional painting, right? But it has enough clarity that it kind of holds together. And maybe it's not going to be as useful when it comes to design. You know, you do have to be more technical when you're trying to be a concept designer. But if you're trying to be more about the art, more about the big picture, more about the story, more about the mood, more about the narrative, I think these sorts of paintings can help you, you know, be more comfortable with your artistic side. Kind of like Jeff Simpson. He does have a lot of, I think he worked for, like he has a lot of recent pieces on Assassin's Creed, and you can tell with those pieces he does go deeper into the design, but a lot of his personal work involves more, almost like it's not abstract, but it's kind of it's a mix of realism with a bit of abstraction, and it's kind of hard to pin down the style. So I'll just say Jeff Simpson-esque. Yeah. I believe this is a random head or a heart. Same brush. I think he uses the same painting brush as the mixer brush, and he does use a few texture, not a lot of texture brushes, but a type of brush that has a bit of that. Maybe it has a dual brush feature on to kind of make that white spot, or to kind of create openings for the white back or the background below to kind of show. And that's pretty much it. Not a lot of brush variety in his work. And you can tell it does feel like a Jeff Simpson kind of painting. You know, he likes to pull the paint around sometimes. And like a part of it will become very realistic, and a part of it is kind of just blended into the background. And it does have, again, a very fine arty, kind of intellectual feeling, right? Another animal study here of a chimp, and you can tell he did focus more on the head here. And he has a great way of managing the lighting in his pieces. Obviously, the way he crops or he frames the subject matters and does influence the impact of the whole thing. But he doesn't even he doesn't have to finish everything. Look at how he just left this part graphical, right? And here it just gets a bit more detailed, not rendering detailed, but clear in terms of like the shapes of the light. You can tell where the highlights are, and you can tell that this thing is actually a chimp. Like if you cut the head off, or even the shoulder part to the top of the head, it's almost unrecognizable. But he just painted the head and maybe a bit of the shoulder, just enough to kind of state that this thing is a fucking chimp. Anyway. Oh, by the way, I did watch recently Godzilla vs. Kong. Awesome film. The plot was kind of not, it was kind of all over the place, but the fighting scenes were amazing. And I loved how Godzilla and Kong had they had a lot of facial expressions, and they weren't really present in the King of the Monsters and the first Godzilla film, or even Skull Island. So it's nice seeing that they have a bit of a personality, you know, in this film. Anyway, another bear study. Almost graphical in the background or in the edges, and again, very realistic in the area of focus here. Very, very common in fine art. And in terms of let me just have a sip of coffee here. These sorts of paintings help to kind of get the idea going, but if you're trying to create something, you'll have to learn how to be more technical. And that's the side of me that I'm kind of procrastinating on and kind of bitching around in. And I just need to man up, you know, and grow some balls and do that. But, you know, I do think it's important to invest in the side of you that's kind of natural. And for me, being more of a painter, more of the big picture guy, I think that's kind of me. That's kind of who I am. And I mean, look at this. Another chimp study. Lots of mixer brush use. And look at the way he did the lighting. Right? Even if the background is left white, sometimes it can put people off. I know it does put me off when only a part, or you're trying to just paint a subject and you kind of just leave the background as kind of a white background, and it does kind of blind you in a way. But look at how he was able to manage this lighting bit here. Just by adding a few darker values, it helps make this highlight or this part of the head way more, or shoulder and head, way more brighter than the actual white in the background, right? Because of the contrast. He didn't even have to go into detail with the hands, and even the face is kind of vague. Very, very artsy. Big strokes, they're a bit vague, but it's enough. Very, very gestural kind of painting, right? Ooh, vulture. Again, it's the same brush. A bit of texture brushes here and there. There's that nice compositional approach. Look at how he frames the vulture. You can definitely tell this guy is a painter, right? They're very good with the compositions. That's why even if the actual piece itself doesn't have much design, if the composition is good, it's going to just pull you in, right? Now this one is pretty simple. It's almost like a vignette type of composition where the edges are kind of just, or they fade out, in this case into white, but it's awesome. Now this one actually is way more realistic. It's hard to see the because even if in this painting and in this painting you can still see a bit of texture. But this vulture right here is way more realistic. It's almost like a photograph, right? And you can still see a bit of mixer brush use here and there, but it does give it kind of blurry effect, almost like it's flying, like there's some kind of dust, like it's midair. This one is just kind of raw, right? Even the way he did the legs, very hot. And it does transfer the moment he does his own concepts and not necessarily like studies. The realism transfers. Now this one is more of some kind of character with a reddish, some kind of zombie perhaps. He did add some noise in the end. I think it adds a bit of that cinematic feel. Well, not cinematic, but like a film grain. You know, most films do have a bit of grain in them to make it more. I don't know why they do that, but there is such a thing as film grain. And you can see a lot of mixer brush use. Look at the way he did the background. Very random. Kind of like Jeff Simpson as well. Oh yeah, Jeff Simpson does have like a fine art background. I think so. Based on his work, right? That's kind of my takeaway. Great use of the color red. He did kind of spread it out a bit. Or the pinks, I guess, in some areas, like little spots. And a bit of desaturated redness or warmness in the shoulders, and even a bit of the chest, or in the lower part of the chest. And look at how the reds aren't even that saturated. Even in this part, this is the lightest kind of red part, or pink. It's not super bright, and it does have that realistic kind of look to it. Now this one, a lot of texture brushes here. He didn't use the same kind of traditional looking brush. Some pencil-like strokes here, dashy strokes. More about the shapes, but it's still very vague. More about the big picture. He did go into slight detail in the beak to just define the edges. But I think he still used the same kind of squarish texture brush to kind of mix this part as well, to kind of pull the paint around. So yeah, I think he likes to use the same painting brush as the mixer brush as well. This one's another kind of animal study, very realistic, and again he likes to focus on that special 10 to 20% of the painting, and everything else is kind of just vague and very expressive, I would say. And in this case he did leave the background as dark. Really helps to make the head pop out. And it reminds me, I forgot the name of this artist, but he's an old school classical artist where he would start painting in blacks and then he would paint in the whites. I forgot the name of that artist, but he's some kind of European something. But I think Mattias here did use the same approach, probably, I'm guessing. And Anthony Jones also likes to sometimes he'll start a painting in darks and then he'll just paint in the lights to kind of help show the form. It's almost as if the thing is appearing from the abyss, right? Oh, reminds me of King Kong. What? By the way, I'm Team Godzilla just because, yeah. Same approach. It gets vaguer. Is that a word? It gets more vague in the surrounding areas in the background, or as you go further away from the actual area of focus. In this case, it's going to be the face of this gorilla. Very, very expressive. A lot of his, even his animals have a bit of an expression in them. Like they have a bit of emotion, right? They're not just standard studies, like flat studies. I call them flat studies, where they're just like one-to-one studies. It usually has a bit of a story in them. Or in Mattias' work, his animals do have like, maybe it's because of the way he paints, maybe it's because of the composition. I'm not sure, but it gives off the feeling of like he's capturing a moment, right? So again, very, very painter-ish. Or painter-like, because most, painters or like artists who paint. Shit. No shit. They're very, very into the whole artsy kind of about the life capturing shit, whatever. But yeah. Now this one's more of an illustration, I would say. Very, very defined, almost like a photograph. This could be like a cover for a book, perhaps. Hard to say. Oh, but again, he likes to use that mixer brush thing. I mean, look at the way this chimp is looking at you, right? Like it's tired, like it's sad. It probably had a long day, Same brush. He likes to use the mixer brush as well to kind of just pull the paint around. And because sometimes if you leave the painting too sharp, it kind of helps, it kind of spreads out the focus too much. So by kind of blending it or blending things with the mixer brush, you can kind of direct the eye into the areas where you want the eye to actually look at first, So it does have a purpose. Not only does it look kind of interesting, very artsy, very kind of gestural, like it's almost like the painting is kind of happening on the spot, but it also has like a purpose in terms of driving the attention to the area of focus. Now this one's more of a creature design. It's some kind of bird, right? Weird eye, like a fish eye. More of a, this one feels more like a keyframe, right? And I think when you're a painter kind of person, like Mattias, you transfer well when it comes to keyframes. Kind of like Alexander Mandrajev. He's another artist that I did review in the art review series, and he's more of a painter as well. And a lot of his work does fit keyframe art because he's just more about the story. He's more about capturing the moment, and whenever he does his keyframe art for like Marvel and shit, it just looks better, or he fits that kind of world. Now this one is definitely in the black background, and concept wise he's very, very artsy again. Very again, not so much design but more about the emotion, fear, discomfort perhaps is probably what's being portrayed here. I'm just bullshitting, I have no idea, but right, very, very artsy. Same brush. Oh, I believe this is some kind of rake brush. A bit of texture, lots of hue variety in this one, although it's pretty toned down. You can see some purples, some reds, some yellows, some greens, some blues. And he tends to go for the more natural tones, like brownish, earth tones. This could be for a game or a trading card. Okay, game. Right? Reminds me a bit of those insects in District 9, right? The face, the insectiness of it. Look at how unfinished it is, but it looks right. Like the way he did the lighting as well. Look at how this creature pops out from the background, and he did play with the lighting in the background to help make this creature pop out by adding this kind of spotlight. Well, not spotlight, but this area of light where the light hits. Yeah, you get the point, right? So there's definitely that compositional aspect to it. This one's kind of a bird and a bat. Hard to say. Very, very weird proportions of the face. Ooh, me like it. Again, it does have that realism. Now, I'm not sure if this is probably not an actual creature, but it does have that kind of squid-like face. Let me just. Sorry. Kind of like Cthulhu, this kind of monster creature. It's kind of like a god creature thing that lives way below, like deep below the deep water. Anyway, now this one is pretty interesting. I don't mean to judge, but I'm assuming this is a she. She does not look as good. Oh, maybe it does have a bit of surrealism in it, kind of like the dreamlike aspect, and he balanced that with the realism of the face. It's kind of like a duck, but the beak is kind of flesh-like, right? And it almost feels like she's cursed, and I kind of feel bad. But I mean, come on, it's kind of freaky looking at this thing, right? Ugh. And look at how he gets flatter in the background. Like the way he does, I'm not sure if this is hair or the body, it gets flatter. Almost like a Van Gogh kind of painting. Van Gogh, right? Except without the over stimulated colors in Van Gogh's painting. Van Gogh. Oh, he did use a bit of a texture brush here. The same brush, natural looking brush as the painting, and mixer brush at the same time. It gets very, very realistic in this area. Look at the way he does like the subtle value variations here, right? And how he handles the lighting. Like it actually kind of goes around the head softly, and it's not like a flat, like he didn't, like the planes of the face aren't obvious. They're very, very subtle, and that helps with the realism aspect of it. It's not like a gouache painting, you know? Like a typical gouache painting, sometimes people like to use a flat brush, whether traditional or digital. They like to think of the shapes more whenever they use gouache. But I mean, you can still do like realistic stuff with it, but it kind of fits the flat kind of editorial type of illustration style, where it's more about the shapes. But in this case, you can see a bit of that realism, right? It gets bigger in the top of the head, and of course in the body. It has a bit of that Egyptian pharaoh kind of look to it. I'm actually not sure what this thing is. It could be a chimp. Oh, I think it's a chimp. The ears here, the eyes are here. Oh, maybe it's kind of in a corner. It's sad, and a part of it is in light. Like you can see this light streak here being casted on the arms, but his head and the shoulders are being casted in shadow. So maybe it does have a bit of that meaning. Like it's being trapped in shadow. Maybe it's in a cage, right? Or in a zoo, and it's kind of sad. There's sort of the separation of light and dark. Whoa, I'm like a prof here. Whoa, professor. Professor, what does this art mean? Anyway, I'm just trying to sound smart here, but I can see a bit of blues in the top of the head. Even here, just a bit. But that's pretty much it. It's mostly a warm kind of thing. Lots of textures, very like spot-like textures, like dots. For me, whenever I do my texture work, I usually do it after. I kind of determine the shapes in the beginning, and then I'll just kind of pretty things up later on with textures. Ooh, a car wreck. Very, very artsy again. I mean, look at how he can make this piece of shit, this broken up, damaged car into like an art piece, right? Even the way he added these sorts of particles, even though this thing is stationary, it helps to kind of bring in some movement in the painting, right? Whoa, impressive. Oh, this reminds me of one of the creatures in the Cowboys versus Aliens film. Like the face is very, very similar, right? Although this one is definitely red, more flesh-like. Flesh-like. And I like the concept, very, very naturalistic. Maybe it's because he obviously likes studying animals a lot, so whenever he does creature designs, it just feels more like it's more well suited for creature designs, I think. If ever he was going to do some kind of design, I think he would probably go the creature design route. But then again, he's more of the big picture kind of art director kind of guy. But look at that. Very, very impressive. Lots of texture. Maybe a bit of mixer brush use. It's kind of hard to see. I feel like he did use a bit of photo bashing. But it's very, very minimal. I think this is some kind of beak, perhaps. Hard to say. But, yeah, it's kind of a backlit kind of creature because you can see this highlight here, right? Very, very freaky. Now this one is more of a comic thing, not sure. It's about a rat god. Again, very, very artsy. Lots of mixer brush use. Compositionally, it looks good. Oh yeah, by the way, I've noticed that graphic novel artists or comic book artists usually do have like a good grasp of composition. Just because of the way they manage their panels and their pages, it almost always looks right or looks kind of pleasing. And yeah, just an observation. Now this one is, I feel like it's some kind of creature. Oh shit, it's a pig! Okay, it's a pig. These are the ears, this is the nose, and these are like the legs. Okay. Sometimes it's kind of hard to see. You actually have to like step back to kind of see what the thing is. Especially when you're doing very artsy kind of paintings like this, where a big chunk of it is just kind of blended in all sorts of ways, you know? So I think this is why he posts his images in this small version to kind of help you see the big picture, right? Feng Zhu does the same thing where his images are very, very small. More pigs or piglets, pigs. I do feel like these are more like studies and very, very quick ones. Very, very realistic. Very, very painterly. Now this one does have a bit more of a graphical look to it. Because of the way it's colored, right? It has a bit of that natural look to it, but the way it's painted, it looks very concept arty. Maybe a bit of... I'm not sure which artist to kind of refer to for this kind of look, but maybe Craig Mullins? Although Craig Mullins doesn't like to use the mixer brush a lot. Anyway, this does feel... You can still see the shapes. It's pretty shape heavy, very, very graphical. But the way... It still looks very realistic just because of the proportions, obviously, and the way he uses the natural looking colors, right? It's not overly saturated. It does have a little more saturation than his other works, but... yeah. Maybe it's mainly because of the proportions. Oh shit, the head is kind of cut. Fuck. This guy is dead. Freaky. Wow. Look at how textured this thing is. Look at how the muscles are still kind of there. So maybe this thing is decomposing or it just kind of died. Or maybe it was being eaten alive. Oh, reminds me again of the work of Jeff Simpson because he likes to do like a lot of flesh stuff, like a lot of muscly types of artwork where you can see like the redness or the flesh likeness of the animals, the people and shit. Oh, very nice owl. Very, very playful with the strokes, especially in the background. And he didn't even focus on like the whole head, just the face. Right? Maybe if the crop was way bigger, he would probably have to render the head. But in this kind of crop or this kind of ratio, in this kind of compositional choice, all he needed to do was render this specific part, the head, and even this part mostly. Look at how he just kind of left this part of the eye in shadow, almost as one solid shape, and maybe the beak a bit. But this whole thing. This is the 10 to 20% that's kind of clear, and that is obviously the focus, you know? So, yeah. Reminds me of Frank Frazetta just because of the caveman aspect of it. Or these are, I think these are one of his older works that I found in his website. This one does remind me a bit of Spart, very, very shape heavy. I do like the way he did the smokes though. And look at how there's a bit of a transition here. Transition. You can see a bit of blues here and a bit of yellowish green, right? So this aspect of the ship is being reflected on the ground, I'm assuming, right? Some more creature designs. It still feels like his work. This could be like an elf because of the ears, I'm guessing. Her dark shadow, her demon. Oh, she's vulnerable. Oh, it's the same insect thing, I believe. Ooh, I love the pencil-like strokes here. Very, very pencil-like or pastel. Not pastel. Pencil-like, kind of like a Lion Decker painting, right? Although Lion Decker likes to make the strokes way bigger. These ones feel more like a pencil to me, like a crayon. I love the way he did the highlights though in this kind of armor, and even the head looks very, very well defined. It still feels realistic, right? Oh, it does have like a similar head. Oh shit. I'm not sure if this is for the same world. I do know this guy is also this guy, right? Oh, it's kind of an insect, but a dragon, like a reptilian insect, right? Just because of the facial proportions, and even the armor. It feels, oh, it does feel like an alligator, crocodile with a mix of insect in it, or crustacean, I'm guessing. Looks mean, right? This one is more weird, but very, very artsy. Portrait study, he uses the same kind of natural looking brush. This one doesn't have a lot of texture in it. Dwarf and an elf? Hard to say. This is a weird kind of crop, right? Very, very vertical. This could be like an alien, or maybe a face of some kind. This could be like a mouth, right? Very, oh, reminds me, oh shit, I forgot the guy's name. Peter Jablonski. I think he's some kind of Russian Polish guy. He likes to paint his figures in this kind of way, and even the faces are kind of pulled apart or very skewed. Like they feel like they're being pinned in some area, so there's a bit of stretching in the face. I forgot the guy's name, but I think I'll be doing an art review of his work. Very, very concept, very, very kind of intellectual. Like there's supposed to be some kind of meaning behind it, you know? This almost feels like a Star Wars kind of concept painting. Or maybe not Star Wars, but the Mars thing, the where you have like the green aliens with the horns. Fuck. I'm thinking of not Mars Needs Moms. The shit. Oh god. Where there's a human guy, and then he kind of got transferred or teleported to Mars, and now he can like fly and shit or jump really high, and he's super strong. Oh my god. Whatever. But yeah. This one's more of an interior study. It does remind me a lot of Craig Mullins. Not a lot of mixer brush use here. Very, very straightforward type of painting with a lot of brush variety. Same thing goes for this one. Now this was more of a grayscale painting. Very, very heavy on the storytelling aspect. Even the shot itself is pretty dynamic, right? Some kind of zombie concept. Another nightmarish kind of thing. Ooh! So someone is being kind of operated on, and you can see this kind of skull in the background. Maybe death is being represented here. Hard to say. blue, his art is being broken or being enlightened. The hands are pretty big. He did use primary colors. Look at how he used the reds here, the blues here, and then the yellows for this kind of light source. The spirit of mankind? Hard to say. Now this is some kind of weird insect, and that's pretty much it. He has way more work. He does have a Tumblr as well, so I will just, again, I will link all of his links in the description below. And I do recommend you follow him. Well, shit, you can't really follow him. I mean, he does have a YouTube channel, so, you know, subscribe if you need to. But that's pretty much it for Mattias Snygg. Snygg. Very cool dude, I would assume. And I am more interested in his more artistic. Well, everything is artistic, but in his more, whenever he does use the mixer brush, that's the type of painting that I tend to lean more towards to, right? So check out this guy's work. Keep drawing. Oh shit, I hope you enjoyed the video. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this art review of Mattias Snygg's work. Snygg's work. And yeah, keep drawing, keep painting, and stay free.